Can everybody move forward a little bit more? Both sides? Thank you. बोलिए श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की जय। प्रथमं सद्गुरुं वन्दे श्री कृष्णं तदनन्तरं गुरुः पापात्मनां त्राता श्री कृष्णस्त्वमलात्मनाम् वन्दे नवघनश्यामं पीतकौशेय वाससं सानन्दं सुन्दरं शुद्धं श्री कृष्णं प्रकृतेः परम्। नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, the theme for these 3 lectures, today, tomorrow, and then Sunday, is Bhakti Shatak. That is the theme of the week. So I will be explaining the 100 verses in these 3 days. So we will go at a rapid pace. I will not ask you to sing after me, because the aim here is to explain these wonderful verses in which Jagadguru Uttam Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj has simplified the very complicated knowledge of the eternal Vedas and Vedic scriptures. The Vedas, Upanishads, the 18 Purans, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and so many other scriptures. That knowledge is there for us, but we cannot understand it since we have a material mind. Our mind cannot fully grasp everything of this material world. We understand only a little bit, even of this material world. We cannot even understand how this world is made. We don't understand even the outer layer of it. We have very little knowledge, and our mind does not go to the divine world. It cannot understand divine knowledge. And this is why a guru is essential. Guru in Hinduism, in the eternal dharma of the Vedas, Sanatan Vedic dharma, has been considered to be even more important than God, because God does not give his knowledge directly. He gives it through a divine teacher known as the Guru. Gum rauti iti guruhu, grinati jnanam iti guruhu, girati ajnanam iti guruhu. The Guru, the word Guru, is defined by the Vedas as the one who dispels ignorance and gives knowledge. Guru is a teacher of the highest caliber because he gives us the highest knowledge, the knowledge of God. Guru teaches how to attain God, how to love God. The Guru teaches how to control the worldly mind and how to divert the mind towards God. So Shri Maharaj Ji has explained the very complicated knowledge of the scriptures, but the most formidable knowledge of the scriptures, and he has contained all that in 100 verses, which is an incredible achievement. It's a divine achievement. So I will begin. अद्वितीय एक तत्व है राधा तत्व प्रधान, याको दूजो रूप है स्वयं कृष्ण भगवान. Shri Maharaj Ji right away says that Radharani is the topmost personality. Radha, the one who is worshipped by even Shri Krishna, she is the topmost personality, and Shri Krishna is another form of hers. She is Advitiya. There is no one like Radha. The knowers of Brahma had a question, and that was, Kasmad Radhika Mupasate. Brahmavadino vadanti, Kasmad Radhika Mupasate. Why is it that we should worship Radha above all other personalities? This question was born in the mind, and the Shrutis, the verses of the Vedas, answered this question by saying, we shall tell you who Radha is. Yasya renum padayor vishwabharta, yasya anke vilunthan krishna devo golokakhyam, naiva sasmara dhama padam, sansha kamala shailaputri, Shakti Dhatrim Namamaha. Shri Radharani is that supreme personality in whose lap Shri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, places his head and experiences so much bliss that he forgets all else. Even his Golok, even his divine abode is forgotten. Shri Radharani is that supreme personality whose foot dust Shri Krishna applies on his forehead with great reverence. So Radha is the supreme personality. Shri Krishna is another form of hers. Mamaiva paurusham rupam gopika jana mohanam. In Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Radharani says, when I assume a male form, people call me Krishna, the one who delights the hearts of the gopis. Gopika jana mohanam. जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान, एक है ह्लादिनी शक्ति अरु, शक्तिमान एक जान. Shri Maharaj Ji says that there is no difference between Radha and Krishna. You must never think that Radha and Krishna are two. It's just like you cannot separate the whiteness from milk. Just like you cannot separate fragrance from the rose. In the same way, you cannot separate Radha from Krishna or Krishna from Radha. This is just one personality who has taken on two forms. Shri Krishna is a Shaktiman, he is the powerful one, and Radharani is his Shakti, his power. But the material mind thinks, well, the powerful one is more powerful because the powerful one has the powers, and the powers are always under the control of the powerful one. Yes, but in this case, Radharani is such a power, Haladini Shakti, that this power brings Shri Krishna under its control. So even Shri Krishna worships Radha. So Radha and Krishna are the same. One definition of the name Radha is Krishnena Aradhyate iti Radha. The one who is worshipped by Krishna is known as Radha. But the other definition is the one who worships Krishna is known as Radha. So both are one. Yeyam Radha yascha Krishno rasabdhir dehe naikah dvidha bhoot. The Upanishads say that Radha and Krishna are one and the same. Yayam Radha Yascha Krishna. The one who is Radha is Krishna. The one who is Krishna is Radha. Shaktiman ki shaktiyan agnit yadapi bakhan tin maha maya jeev aru para trishakti pradhan. Shri Maharaj says, although God has unlimited powers, we have very limited powers, and those powers are given to us by God Himself. Our eyes have the power to see, ears have the power to hear. We have some various sense organs, but the power to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell has been given by God. We have a mind which has the power to think. We have the intellect which has the power to take decisions. But all these powers that we have, they have been given to us mercifully by God. And Shri Krishna, God, has unlimited powers. You cannot count them. You can keep on counting them for all eternity, and they will never finish. They will keep on going. You can keep on counting them forever and ever. However, there are three main powers: Jeev, Maya, and Parashakti. Tinamaha, Maya, Jeev, Aru, Para, Trishakti, Pradhan. Three powers. Parashakti is God's intimate power. It is also known as Swarupa Shakti. Parashakti, Swarup Shakti, Yoga Maya Shakti. It has all these names. And this is the intimate power of God, which allows God to do anything and everything. It enables God to do anything and everything. Kartum akartum anyatha kartum samartha. And then there is Jiva Shakti. Jiva Shakti is known as the Tatastha Shakti. It is a tat. The word tat means shore, like the lake shore, shore of lake, river, body of water, an ocean. So the Jiva Shakti, the individual soul, it is called Tatastha because the tat, the shore, what is it? Is it water? Is it land? Well, it's both. It's neither. So what is the Jeev? Why is it called the Tatastha Shakti? Because it is neither a part of God's Parashakti. If Jeev Shakti was part of God's Parashakti, then we, Jeev, individual souls, we would be all-knowing. We would be omniscient, just like God. We would be omnipresent. We would have all the powers of God. We are not directly part of God's Parashakti, but we are not part of God's Maya Shakti. That is the third main power of God. Maya Shakti. Because Maya Shakti, the power called Maya, it is Jad, meaning it's lifeless. It has no life. It's like a Kleenex tissue paper. It's like a pen, pencil, lifeless objects. Maya is lifeless, but the Jeev, the individual soul, is not insentient. It is not lifeless. You see, the soul is within the body, so we are able to move around, we are able to see, we are able to hear, we are able to lift our hands, we are able to do so many things. So we are not part of God's Parashakti, nor are we part of God's Maya Shakti, which is the external power of God. We are Tatastha Shakti, that is a Jeev Shakti. Jeev Tatastha Shakti par Maya kar adhikar, vastu tastu yah das hai Swami Nand Kumar. Here it is being explained that the power called Maya has an eternal hold on Jeev Shakti, on the individual soul. So we, the souls, we have been eternally controlled by Maya. And that is because we have eternally selected Maya over God. We didn't select Maya over God one fine day, no, on one unfortunate day. We have eternally selected Maya, chosen Maya over God. So we have always been under the control of Maya. But our reality is that we are eternal servants of God. Jivera Shwarupa hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Gauranga Mahaprabhu says that the individual soul is an eternal servant of God, eternal servant of Shri Krishna. Das bhutamidam sarvam, say the Purans. Krishna bahirmukh jeev kaha maya karati adheen, tate bhulyo aapu kaha banyo vishaya rasmeen. The individual soul has been eternally away from God. We have been eternally turned away from God. We were never facing God. We were never surrendered to God. So Maya grabbed hold of us, again eternally, and this is why we are running after the world. Rather than running after God, we are running after His creation, running after people of the world, running after objects of the world, trying to look for happiness. We have become Vishaya Rasameen. अंतरंग है परा जो सर्व समर्थ कहाय, अति विचित्र गति परा की मायापति हूं नचाए. Going back to Parashakti, the intimate power of God, it is Sarva Samarth. It is able to do anything and everything. It brings even Mayapati, even the Supreme Lord, it makes even him dance to its tune. माया है जड़ शक्ति पै ज्ञानी हूँ पार न पाए, या को कारण स्वयं हरि, या को प्रेरक आए. Maya is a power which is lifeless, yet it is so powerful because God gives it His power. So Maya becomes extremely powerful as God. So even the one who walks on the path of knowledge, Jnani, he cannot cross Maya. He cannot go beyond Maya. Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metantarantite. O Arjun, says Krishna. Shri Krishna says, O Arjun, Maya is my Shakti. It is my power, mama maya, and no one can cross it. No one can conquer it without my grace. It's only by surrendering to me that the individual soul can go beyond Maya. So the Jnani does not surrender to God. He does not attain the grace of God. Therefore, he cannot conquer Maya. All that the Jnani is able to do is to attain Atma Jnana. He attains knowledge of the self, but he does not attain knowledge of God. He attains partial knowledge. Then he has to practice devotion. Then, with the grace of God, he attains freedom from Maya. Most of you, if not all of you, have heard the example of Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat was a very elevated soul. He had attained knowledge of the self. He was Atma Jnani. But Maya will stay away from the Jnani, Atma Jnani, as long as he is in his samadhi. Maya cannot disturb him. But as long as he's in his samadhi, when he comes out of his samadhi, out of his meditational trance, Maya is right there to grab hold of him. This is quite like being chased by bees. If anyone is ever chased by honeybees, there's no getting away from them. But if you find some water and you're able to submerge yourself underwater, bees cannot enter water. But how long will you keep yourself underwater? You'll have to surface at some point. Then the bees are there to attack you. So the Jnani has protection from Maya as long as he is in his samadhi. But he has to come out of his samadhi, then Maya grabs hold of him. So Shri Krishna says, Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. You have attained Atma Jnana, yes? You have not attained my knowledge. Now you must practice bhakti, practice devotion to me. Then I will grace you and you will attain freedom from Maya. Karma yog aru gyan sab sadhan yadapi bakhan pep binu bhakti sabe janu mritak deh binu pran. The scriptures talk about the path, various paths leading to God. One is a path of karma dharma, one is a path of yoga, one is the path of gyan. one is a path of bhakti. Gyan and yoga are very similar, so we usually say there's karma, gyan, and bhakti, these three paths. So although these paths are talked about, yet without bhakti, without devotion, they are just like a body which is lifeless. Mritaka deha, a shav, a dead body, because the soul has departed. In other words, devotion is the soul. And every path needs devotion. Otherwise, it's very empty. It cannot take us to our final destination, which is God. Pratham sadhana bhakti karu tab man nirmal hoye. Milai vishuddha bhakti tab guru anukampa toye. Shri Maharaj tells us, he tells the sadhaks, listen, first practice devotion. By practicing devotion to God, your mind will become soft. It will become pure. Your heart will become pure because of the practice of devotion. And then, with the grace of the Guru, with the grace of the divine Guru, you will attain Vishuddha Bhakti. You will attain pure devotion, perfect devotion. We are practicing devotion at this point. We are trying any which way to get our mind interested in God. I think everybody will agree to that. So that is the first step, sadhana bhakti. We practice devotion. Through the practice of devotion, we will reach one day, if we are diligent in our devotional practice, if we don't give up, if we do not become despondent, if we keep on being optimistic and always relying on the grace of God and Guru, but also making the self-effort, then we will reach bhav bhakti. This is a very elevated state, but we have not attained God realization even at this point, and we can fall down even at this stage. But then, with the grace of God and Guru, we attain Vishuddha Bhakti, Siddha Bhakti, perfect devotion. And now you cannot fall. You will always have Vishuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. You will always be God realized. Maya will never torment you again. So you will then go to the abode of God. So first, we must practice bhakti. We must practice it, and then we will attain Bhav Bhakti and then Siddha Bhakti, which Shri Maharaj calls Vishuddha Bhakti, pure devotion. Sab sadhan janu deha sam roop dhyan janu pran khat geedh aruswan janu kamadik shabman. I think this is the most powerful of the 100 verses in Bhakti Shatak. Here, Jagat Guru Uttam Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj says, all the practices that anyone can engage in, such as chanting, or going on various pilgrimages, or fasting, whatever you may have, all these sadhans, all these practices are like the dead body. And meditation on God is the soul. Rupa Dhyan Janu Pran. Gauranga Mahaprabhu has said, Manera Smarana Pran. Rupa Dhyan, that meditation on God, that is the life of all the practices. If you're not meditating on God, you can say, I'm fasting every day of the week. It doesn't matter. I've been to all the holy places. It doesn't matter. I chant the names of God every day for hours and hours. It doesn't matter. What matters is, while chanting, are you meditating on God? Are you doing Rup Dhyan? While going on a pilgrimage, are you thinking of God? Or were you just thinking, there's so much mess over here. This should be better. This should be prettier. This should be better kept up. What are you thinking as you go on a pilgrimage? Are you thinking, this is the abode of Shri Krishna. This is Vrindavan. This is the same land where my Lord lived. This is the same earth upon which he placed his soft lotus feet. This is where he rolled around in the dust. Meditation on God, Rup Dhyan, is the life of all devotional practices. And without it, our devotion is just like a dead body. And when there is a carcass, dead body of an animal laying by the roadside or in an open field, then creatures such as vultures, dogs, vultures and dogs, they come and feast upon that body. The vulture can see from very high up. It has an amazing eyesight. The vulture can see from very high up in the sky that there is a carcass, and it just comes swooping down on that carcass. Dogs and other creatures also come, and they feast upon that body in the same way. Anger, greed, hatred, pride, lust, envy, hypocrisy, and other vices of Maya feast on that mind which does not do Rup Dhyan. What a powerful, powerful verse, Doha. Jag maha sukh dukh do nahi, as ur dhari le gyan. Sukh mane dukh milat hai, sukh na jagat mahaman. Shri Maharaj is simplifying the knowledge of the scriptures, but also he is arranging this knowledge in a way that makes sense. It's in a sequence. When you take a very good look at Bhakti Shatak Dohas, you find there is a sequence. It's not, the verses are not placed haphazardly. There's a sequence. And this verse of Bhakti Shatak, it comes from Vishnu Puran. Tasmat dukkhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. Meaning, there is no happiness or unhappiness in the world. If there was happiness in the world, everyone would be happy with everyone else and with everything in every place. But that is not so. If there were unhappiness in the world, everyone would be miserable at all times with everyone else and with everything else and in every place. That is also not true. There's happiness here in the world. That is a perception of the mind. There is unhappiness over here. That is a perception of the mind. This food gives me lots of happiness. That is perception of the mind. This person, my child, my spouse, my sibling, my friend, gives me a lot of happiness. It's the perception of the mind, because at another point, we find the same person, the same loved one, to be a source of unhappiness also. So there is this illusion that the mind suffers from, and that is there is happiness in the world. That's why we are so attached to the world. But attachment is of two types, love and hatred. So if we think there's happiness in the world, we'll become attached to the world with feelings of love. And if we are under the illusion that there's only unhappiness in the world, we will think about the world again and again, and we will become attached to the world with feelings of hatred. But we must not love the world, we must not hate the world either. So, to be completely neutral from the world, we must understand very, very clearly that the world does not give happiness or unhappiness to us. Jag virag ho titnoi jitnoi hari anurag, tab ho hari anurag jab guru charanan man lag. If you wish to become detached from the world, then understand that detachment from the world doesn't come just like that. One fine day you get up and you say, whoa, I feel very detached from the world. It's not something spontaneous. The more you love God, the more you'll be detached from the world. So, the more you are attached to God, the more you are detached from the world, because we only have one mind. And how will I become attached to God? How will I start loving God? When you first surrender to the lotus feet of your Guru. When you surrender to the divine teacher, the Guru, the divine personality, the divine messenger of God, who has come to earth only to make the world fall in love with God. So surrender to Him. He will make you fall in love with God by telling you so much about God, by telling you how to take your mind to God, and then you'll become detached from the world. जग सो विमुख होए जब सांचो सदगुरु पाए, करत सतत सत्संग तब हरि सन्मुख हो जाए. When you become somewhat detached from the world, when you start to understand that, look, I'm not receiving what I want from the world. And perhaps the world doesn't have what I really need, what I crave. Maybe the world does not have happiness to give. When a certain amount of detachment comes in the mind, then God says, here, I'm going to give you a teacher, a divine teacher, my pure devotee by the name Guru. The Guru will take you, he will take you by the hand and he will bring you to me. Then when you practice devotion to God under the guidance of the Guru, karata satata satsang. Satata satsang meaning constant association with the Guru. Santaka sang. Then you will become attached to God. Hari anurag virag jag aapu hi aapu na hoye. Manate bhajan kiye bina bhakti na pave koe. Attachment to God, loving God, and becoming detached from the world, these don't happen by themselves. You cannot attain devotion to God. You cannot become a true devotee of God without practicing devotion. Sancho das na kabahu chaha, panchahu mukti balai, chahai yugal seva sada, tin sukh sukhi sadai. We consider ourselves to be aspiring devotees, sadhaks. We are. So we are being cautioned that a true servant of God, you want to be a true servant of God? Yes, Shri Maharaj says, but a true servant must never desire anything from God. Make sure you don't desire anything, not even the 5 types of liberation. Liberation is of 5 types. 1 is of the Jnani, the impersonalist, 4 are those of the devotee. We must not ask for anything, not even liberation. All we must desire is to serve God. Chahai yugal seva sada tin sukha sukhi sadai. Narad Muni has said in Narad Bhakti Darshan, his most excellent scripture, the greatest of all the scriptures of Naradji, he says, Tat sukha sukhitvam. That is the highest philosophy, to be happy in the beloved's happiness. I'm not seeking my happiness, I'm seeking only the happiness of my beloved. This is Gopi Prem. The greatest of all gopis are the selfless gopis. The selfless gopi says, it does not matter that my beloved Krishna does not ever come back to me. He left me and he said he'll be back in a day or 2. Years and years have passed, he has not come back, but that's all right. As long as he's happy, I am happy in his happiness. Tat sukha sukhitvam. That is the highest principle, the highest knowledge, to be happy in the happiness of the beloved. But then I do want my happiness. Yes, true. Will I never attain that happiness? No. You will receive the greatest happiness. The greatest bliss is tasted by the one who becomes completely selfless. He becomes completely selfless, and the end result is that God gives him the ultimate happiness, the greatest of all happiness. Not that he wants it, he must never desire it, but he will receive it. Jo swami so chahai kachu, so nahi das kahai. So swami na kahai jo das hi aas lagai. A true servant does not ask anything from God, and if he does ask for something, if he has some desire he wants God to fulfill, then he's not a true lover of God. He's not a true devotee of God. He must never ask for anything. Ushitva jahnavi tire kupam khanati durmati. It is a fool indeed, a saint has said, it is a fool indeed who goes to the holy river Ganga and starts digging a well on the shore. You have the holy waters. Why are you digging a well? You have God. You can have God. Why are you asking for the world? You have God. Why are you asking for celestial regions that send me to Swargalok after death? You have God. Why are you looking for mukti, moksha, liberation? The highest attainment is God. Why settle for anything less? So a true servant never desires anything from God. And a true master, a true guru, Swami, he is one who does not desire anything from the servant. Whenever a guru asks a servant, a disciple, to do seva, it is not because the guru wants something, it is because he wants to take that servant of his closer to God. He wants that disciple to be detached from the world. He wants to give priceless treasures to the disciple. He does not want anything from the disciple. There's nothing that anyone can give to the guru because he has attained God realization, and there's no higher attainment. There's no higher treasure. Nothing more valuable than God realization. Hari ko naam roop gun, hari jan nitya nivas, sab hai ek hari roop hai, sab mein sabko vas. Shri Maharaj has said time and time again, God, the name of God, the form of God, the abode of God, the true lovers of God, the saints of God, they're all one. They all dwell within each other. For instance, Vrindavan is a divine abode. So Vrindavan is Shri Krishna. Vrindavan has all the powers that Shri Krishna has. The name Krishna, it has all the powers of Shri Krishna. All the powers are there. So name of God, the abode of God, the saints of God, the attributes of God, they're all one. They all dwell, they all live within one another. Sabay Shakti hai naam mein man nishidin arad, pay binu, pay nahi shakti n labh tin kiye naam aparad. The name of God has all the powers of God in it. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, I am sitting in my name with all my powers, with my countless, unlimited powers. So when you take my name properly, you will receive that power. And Shri Maharaj has said, and this is a very powerful sentence that he has spoken, he says the difference between taking the name of God, we heard this morning, we heard these words this morning, the difference between taking the name of God just using the tongue as opposed to taking the name of God from the heart is the difference between a rubber balloon and an atom bomb. There's so much power in the atom bomb, and there is no power at all in the balloon. You hit somebody with the balloon, he will laugh. Oh, you're fooling me. This doesn't hurt me. This balloon is just full of hot air. It's nothing. Go ahead, hit me again. But you release the atom bomb, and the results are devastating. Absolutely devastating. Millions are killed. There's so much power. So there's so much power in God's name, but we ask, why am I not receiving that power? I'm taking the name of God. Shri Maharaj explains, well, side by side, you're also committing namaparad. You're committing the greatest spiritual offenses also, finding fault with God, and more likely you're finding fault with saints. There are various categories of sins. There are ordinary sins, telling lies, harming another person, stealing from someone. These are sins. But there are greater sins, more serious sins. Those are 5 mahapap. Stealing gold, our scriptures tell us, stealing gold, drinking alcohol, killing a virtuous Brahmin, having lustful feelings towards a guru's wife. And the 5th one is enabling someone who is committing 1 or 2 or all of these offenses. So these are mahapap. There's no atonement for these. The Vedas say, the Smritis say, you have committed this sin, or you've committed the sin of killing a cow. Well, there's this Vedic ceremony you can perform and you can atone for that sin. There are sins and then there's atonement for the sin. But for these sins, there's no atonement. But even more serious than these 5 Mahapap is Namaparad. And that is finding fault with God. Why did Bhagwan Ram do this? Why did Krishna do that? Oh, his character is very doubtful to me. Why was he married to 16,108 women? Without knowing the story behind it, without knowing the reason, without knowing the merciful reason behind all that, we cast our doubts on God. And that is Namaparad. So on the one hand, we are chanting the name of God that carries the unlimited powers of God. On the other hand, we are committing Namaparad. Shri Maharaj used to tell us a story of a villager. He was blind, and he would make this sort of edible kind of rope made of grass so that he could sell it in the marketplace. People would buy it from him for the cattle. So he was going about his business. He was just making this rope made of grass and other such edibles. And he would have 1 foot of that, and then he would put it behind him. Then he would continue making it. What he did not know, that he's thinking, oh, I have 50 feet of that, so that will give me enough money for today. What he didn't know is that there's a cow in the back, and the cow is munching away happily on this grass. So this man has nothing left because the cow has eaten up everything. We are also thinking, oh, I've done so much kirtan, bhajan, 12 hours, 24 hours, 72 hours. I've done so much kirtan, so much kirtan. I do it every day, I do it every week. But we are doing Namaparad also. So that's that effect of taking the name of God, it's being cancelled out. Kiye Naam Aparad. बंधन और मोक्ष का कारण मन ही बखान याते काउनियु भक्ति करू मनते हरि ध्यान. Our scriptures tell us about Navdha Bhakti, 9-fold devotion. The Bhagavad Puran tells us, Prahlad tells us about 9 types of devotion. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmani Vedanam. Hearing the glory of God, chanting the glory and the attributes of God, meditation on God, doing archana, reciting His names, doing vandana, bowing down to God. There are 9 types of devotion. But one of them is the true devotion. One is such a method that we can get rid of everything else, and if we just do that one, we would be all right. And that is smaranam. Again, Roop Dhyan. So the very first 3 are told to us as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. And then 6 others are talked about. But the main one is Smaranam. Chintanam, Roop Dhyan, as Shri Maharaj has called it. So why should we chant the glory of God? Because that helps us to think of God. It helps us to do Roop Dhyan. Why should we listen to lectures and listen to the glory of God being chanted? Because that will help you to think of God. Smaranam Bhakti is the main one. The mind is the one that thinks. So without the mind thinking of God, the other devotion, the other practices of devotion are rendered useless. The mind is the reason why we are bound to this material world. We're stuck in this material world, and the mind is the reason that we will rise above this material world and we will become liberated from it. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. This is a verse that is in many scriptures. One of those is Panchadashi. Next, Shri Maharaj says, and this is also an amazing verse. They're all amazing, but sometimes Maharaj says about certain verses from scriptures, he says that's an atomic verse. This is an atomic doha. Ram naam sab satya kaha jab laun jaat masan lautat hi puni jagat kaha satyaman dhani gyan. We don't notice this, but we have observed this many times. We've done it many times. That when the dead body is being taken to the cremation ground, because in Hinduism we cremate the body, other religions they bury the body, and there are other ways of disposing of the body, but we cremate the body. So when the body is being taken to the cremation ground, the ones who are carrying the body and the ones who are following the procession, they're saying, Ram Naam Satya Hai. Only the name of God is true. God is the only one that is true. Everything else, like this body that we are carrying on our shoulders, is subject to destruction. And that's a wonderful thing. And this is a practice which is very ancient. And the sages and ascetics who came up with this practice, they wanted us to know that we shouldn't just speak these words, we should feel these words, we should accept these words, that only God is true, everything else is subject to destruction. So pay attention to God. So this is wonderful. People say, wow, how nice that in Hinduism you do that. It's nice, but not so nice, because on the way back from the cremation ground, no one dares to say, Ram Naam Satya Hai. If some very, very learned person is in part of that procession, and he or she starts saying Ram Naam Satya Hai on the way back too, people would beat him up. He or she would get a beating. Why are you saying Ram Naam Satya Hai now? Because it's true. It is true even now. No, don't say that, because somebody else may die. Don't you know, you fool? Because people have started because we associate Ram Naam Satya Hai, these words, with death. So nobody wants to speak these words, utter these words on the way back from the cremation ground. And God forbid, if someone says these words in the wedding procession. Imagine the wedding is going on, the procession is there, the doula's on the horseback, and everybody's dancing and singing, the band is playing, and somebody says, Ram Naam Satya Hai. Oh my God, who are you? What are you saying? Are you mad? People just throw him out, get out of here. But isn't it true? It is true, but we have that knowledge, that much knowledge. Shri Maharaj is saying there's not so much knowledge, because you're saying it on the way there, you're not saying it on the way back. Teen Roop Shri Krishna ko, now another topic. Teen Roop Shri Krishna ko, Veda Vyas bataye, Brahma aur Paramatma aru Bhagavan kahaye. This is the translation of a verse from the Bhagavad. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Shabdyate. Bhagavan Vedavyas says, there's only one God, but that one God has three aspects. We can think of God in three ways. We can think of God as having neither name nor form. That's Brahma. We can think of God as having name and form, but a very majestic form. That's Mahavishnu, Paramatma. We can think of God as having form, name and form, and he comes down to earth, and he brings along a lot of his devotees, pure devotees from his divine kingdom, and they all perform their leelas. Bhagwan performs sweet earthly pastimes, which help us greatly. So that's Bhagwan. Sarva Shakti Sampanna ho Shakti Vikas na hoye, Sat Chit Anand Roop jo Brahma kahave soye, सर्व शक्ति संयुक्त हो नाम रूप गुण होए, लीला परिकर रहित हो परमात्मा है सोए. सर्व शक्ति प्राकट्य हो लीला विविध प्रकार, विहरत परिकर संग जो तेहि भगवान पुकार. So in such easy words that everyone can understand, because not everyone understands Sanskrit. Shri Maharaj Ji has used Hindi and Braj Bhasha, easy to understand for so many people. Shri Maharaj Ji has said, Brahma is the one who has all powers, but he doesn't disclose them. He doesn't reveal any powers. And he is Sat, Chit and Anand. He is Satchid Anand. And Paramatma is the one who has all the powers, and he has name, he has a form. The name is Mahavishnu. The form is the four-armed form, Chaturbhuji. But he does not perform pastimes. And he does not have his divine associates with him. That is Paramatma. That's the intimidating aspect of God. But then there is Bhagwan, who reveals all his powers. And he performs many different kinds of leelas. He comes down to earth, performs leelas, and he performs those leelas along with his pure devotees. He is Bhagwan. And in the next 3 verses, Shri Maharaj Ji tells us, Brahma prapti path jnana hai, Paramatma path yog, Krishna prapti path bhakti hai, adhikari sab log. In one verse, I should say, Shri Maharaj Ji has said that the one who wishes to attain Brahma, he walks on the path of Gyan, path of knowledge. The one who wishes to attain Paramatma, Mahavishnu, he walks on the path of Yoga. But the one who wants to attain Shri Krishna, God with name and form, who performs sweetest pastimes, he must walk on the path of Bhakti. So that path is known as the path of devotion. Jnani aru yogi lahe निज स्वरूप को ज्ञान हरि स्वरूप जाने नहीं माया माही भुलान. And ज्ञानी अरु योगी जबै कृष्ण भक्ति उर आन कृष्ण कृपा ते ही तबै पावे ब्रह्म ज्ञान. I had spoken about this earlier, that jnani and the yogi, they attain only knowledge of the self. They establish themselves in the self, but they cannot attain the knowledge of God. Hari swarup jane nahi. They do not know about God. They don't realize God, because they're still under the control of Maya. But when they bring Shri Krishna into their hearts, then with the grace of Shri Krishna, they attain the knowledge of God. They attain Brahma Gyan. Earlier, they had only Atma Gyan, knowledge of the self. Kotin Gyanin Madhya Kou Prem Sudharas Pai Jimi Sanakadi Shukadi Man Brajras Rahe Dubai. Out of millions and millions of Gyanis, a rare one comes out and he tastes the nectar of Shri Krishna. Like Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, the 4 sons of Brahma, collectively known as Sanakadik, and Shukadi, Shukdev. So very rare Gyanis, they come out of their Brahma Gyan and they are deserving of Shri Krishna. So even though they are lost in the bliss of Brahma, they come out of it and then they practice devotion to Shri Krishna. But they are very rare. Krishna kripa binu jai nahi maya ati balwan sharanagat par ho kripa yah gita ko gyan. I had said earlier, in explaining another verse of another doha, that the Gita says that without Shri Krishna's grace, Maya will not leave you. It will not leave you alone. You can never transcend Maya without Shri Krishna's grace. So all we have to do is to surrender to Shri Krishna and Maya will leave us. Jimi ho sheet nivritt tin jin dhig agini sidhar timi ho kripa tinahi jin man jaye haridwar. If you're feeling very cold and you see a bonfire, fire burning at a distance, and you say, I'm freezing. Well, go near the fire. You cannot feel the warmth of fire unless you go near fire, right? In the same way, the closer you go to God, the more you surrender to God, the more God will grace you. Man, मैं को मत छोड़ तू, दास जोड़ दे और मेरा भी रख साथ में सो रसिकन सिरमोर. Oh, my mind, the devotee is being told, you don't need to get rid of the I. The Jnani always tries to get rid of the I. No, I don't want the I. No, keep मैं, I am. Keep that with you. That's fine. Just one thing. Add servant to that. I am a servant of God. Mera bhi rakh saath mein. So you have the concept of मैं, I, and mera, mine. I am an eternal servant of God and my Lord is Shri Krishna, mera. So we have reached Doha number 31. I will leave the rest, next 30 or 31 or 32 for tomorrow. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। बोलिए भक्ति शतक की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।